So thank you for sitting with us, Verne, for this short interview about the CARICOM Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code. Now, I'm going to begin by asking what are the factors that would have led the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards on Quality and its network to develop this Regional Energy Efficiency Code?
Okay. The Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code development was mandated by CARICOM at its 41st special meeting of the Council of Trade and Economic Development, COTED, in 2013. CROSQ was tasked with addressing energy efficiency in new and existing buildings. Under this initiative, coordinated by the CARICOM Secretariat, CARICOM-wide minimum energy efficiency performance standards for various categories of buildings and a regional energy efficiency building code for non-residential buildings was mandated to be developed through CROSQ and the national standards bodies in order to also ensure energy efficiency in the region. This initiative was aided by our developmental partners being CDB and GIZ. And the initiative formed part of the emerging regional energy efficiency strategy, which aims to address energy efficiency in the region, knowing that the majority of our energy needs are fossil fuel based. And in order to meet the sustainable development goals, we would need to increase our energy efficiency in the region as our dependence on fossil fuel will become a significant limiting factor for our economic development.
So explain a bit about the decision to start with a model code and what would have determined which model was used for this region.
We've had experience with the development of building codes in the region, and it started off with the qubit and other codes, but throughout the region we have the specific issue of not having legislated codes. We have seen the experience in Jamaica where they initiated in 2006 with using the ICC as a model code and then developing locally determined parameters called a CAD, a CARICOM adaptation document. We, using the normal standards development process, determined going through all the existing codes and a review of codes from around the world, determined that the ICC code would have been a very good model for us. The advantages of that code is that it is commonly accepted by the majority of our source markets with our trading partners, and it is also easily adaptable in the context of the flow of the code, the structure of the code, and it is responsive to the climate needs of the region. We've taken that code through the standards development process, which is well established by CROSQ, where we gathered a regional project team with experts from all CARICOM countries and went through an iterative process of standards development where we achieved consensus in finding on all technical aspects of the code, where all CARICOM countries were able to agree on a unified regional energy efficiency code, which was fit for purpose and meets the required needs for development.
Starting from this model, this IECC model made the adoption of the code any easier than starting, say, from scratch? Because you would have mentioned before that Jamaica would have been pretty much a pilot in terms of utilizing this method. Did this make it easier for the adoption process for our region?
Yeah, the IECC makes the adoption process much easier in that, one, we're not reinventing the wheel. Two, we're starting from a base of an internationally accepted document. Three, we are also moving to a model which always updates itself every 2 or 3 years. So we're always staying in touch with what is required. With the adoption of the IECC and the Regional Energy Efficiency Code, it addresses new building energy consumption, which accounts for 1/3 of the world's total energy use and associated greenhouse gas emissions. The majority of our consumption in the region in terms of energy is directly related to electricity. And even half of our electricity consumption is now related to air conditioning and buildings, which speak to the use of our tourism industry, which is a major economic sector in the region. Right. So the code also addresses major building renovations in the documents. The REC addresses all the aspects of energy use in buildings, which comprise but are not limited to the thermal performance requirements for walls, roofs, and windows, daylighting, lamps and luminaire performance, energy performance of chillers and air distribution systems, electrical wiring systems, solar water heating, appliances, renewable energy, the zoning of buildings, the climate classification, and the building energy management systems. These are critical to us ensuring that as a region and in each individual territory, that the maximum context in terms of energy efficiency is disseminated and used in an efficient manner.
So let's talk a little bit about the implementation of it now. Are CARICOM member states actually implementing the CARICOM Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code? And how does this help with things like reducing greenhouse gases? And how does it fit into the pledges that our governments would have made in relation to the Paris Climate Agreement at COP26?
Well, CARICOM member states are indeed everyone has adopted the code. It has been approved in all member territories. The mode of implementation is different in each territory in the context of whether it remains as a standard in one territory or it is a technical regulation. And that is the beautiful part of the code, that it has its administrative requirements able to be flexible to the needs of the particular territory. As we, for instance, in St. Lucia, we have adopted the code as a voluntary document, which works in conjunction with our Physical Planning Act and the OECS Building Code. So it is a document which is being used by engineers and architects and planners in the modeling and in the new design of local buildings. In other territories, we note that there is significant uptake of the code. There's significant interest by persons who are in engineering and construction. We've seen that the embracing of the code by other persons who wish to implement green building standards. The use of the code is reflected in our nationally determined contributions, and that is a key area in terms of education and information in terms of the use of the code and how it will assist in meeting our sustainable development goals.
I'm glad you brought up the issue of the applicability and how countries are utilizing it. Do you see other tropical climates like ours, even outside our Caribbean region, being able to utilize codes such as this in their development going forward, especially in relation to Paris agreements and countries' contributions to the Paris Agreement?
Well, yes, I believe that countries with similar climates and similar circumstances can use the CARICOM Energy Efficiency Building Code because it provides them with a model which is fit for their purpose. It is adaptable, it is flexible, and with similar parameters in terms of climate, then the code is useful and with almost no adaptions in that context. So for them, it would be that they would have something which has already been properly peer reviewed and addressed to their climate needs and is fit for purpose, and they would minimize any time in terms of standard development or code development and have a code that can be fit for purpose and meet their needs with its immediate implementation. With regard to the Paris Agreement, we all signed on to the Paris Agreement. And so if we of similar geography and climate are using a similar well-developed code, then it will easily be adaptable to assist in meeting those development goals. I think entities in similar circumstances, whether they be in Africa, in the Pacific, or other persons on the same lateral, would be able to find that the energy efficiency building code developed for the Caribbean is very fit for their purposes and can be used.
Okay, thank you very much, Verne. And that's it for the Q&A. And I thank you very much for consenting to have this discussion on the CARICOM Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code and the use of the IECC code as our model. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.